Apple, the tech giant that redefined innovation, now faces a $1 trillion lawsuit from the Democratic Republic of Congo. That's right, $1 trillion. And this isn't just about money. It's about war crimes, conflict minerals, and the exploitation of one of the world's most resource-rich but war-torn nations. So, what's really going on here? This story broke when Kinshasa, the capital of the Democratic Republic of Congo, filed criminal complaints against Apple and its subsidiaries in courts in France and Belgium. The accusations? Profiting from conflict, handling stolen goods, covering up war crimes, and deceiving customers into thinking their products are ethically made. At the heart of the lawsuit are the rare minerals that power Apple's iPhones, iPads, and MacBooks. Minerals like cobalt and tantalum, critical for batteries and electronics, are sourced from Congo, a country that supplies over 70% of the world's cobalt.
So if you haven't heard, Apple is getting sued for the second time about its use of conflict minerals in the Congo, and they're being sued by the Democratic Republic of Congo. And I'm going to explain it to you in layman's terms so that you can understand why, and also just explain the depravity of Apple's business practices right now. Now, I know a lot of the talk is about cobalt, but that doesn't apply to Apple because Apple uses 100% recycled cobalt, but they still use tin, tungsten, and gold, and coltan for their processors and for other parts of their phones. And Congo is like the biggest exporter of those minerals. However, what's been happening is that neighboring countries like Rwanda use armed groups to steal minerals from Congo and force the people of the Congo to work for really shitty pay. And then they take those minerals up to Rwanda, where Rwanda then works with Apple suppliers and sells it to Apple. And Apple is using third parties to make sure that their minerals are conflict-free. So that's where I have a problem with it, is you have this company that needs these minerals, and they find suppliers to sell them those minerals without having any interest in the safety or the ways that these minerals are procured. And the fact that they are constantly trying to shove responsibility off to these third parties that are faking the fact that these minerals are conflict-free is absolutely absurd. And it all comes down to Apple's lack of humanity. Apple has lost all sense of humanity in the last 10 years. You talk to anyone that has worked at this company for longer than 10 years, and they will tell you that this company feels completely different than when it did ages ago, when Steve Jobs was alive. Because when you think about it, this is all about humanity. This is about making sure that the people whose land these minerals are on are treated with respect, and that they're treated fairly and paid fairly for the mineral and the hard work that they're doing. So how does Apple fix this? Like, what is the point of these lawsuits? Well, Apple needs to be more involved in the sourcing of their minerals. They can't just utilize third parties anymore because that's just not acceptable. Because without these minerals, your products would not exist. So therefore, you have a responsibility to make sure that those minerals are mined correctly. Okay, but how does Apple do that? A lot of the human rights abuses happen at these places called artisanal scale mines. So there are these really small mines. They're not as large as these like massive industrial mines with a bunch of machinery and things to help keep the walls up. They are literally very small mines where people are like digging by hand to get the minerals, and there's no limit to how many people can be in those mines at once. So you have 15,000 people at once trying to get minerals, to try and sell them and trying to make money for their families. And actually in 2018, there was a formalization process as like a pilot where they built fences around the mines. They give the workers key cards so that they make sure that like pregnant women and children weren't getting let into the mines. And they made sure that it was limited to like 5,000 people at once. So it's not like 15,000 people. And it worked really, really well up until the pandemic. And then the pandemic screwed everything up because they couldn't like sustain that. And Apple is no stranger to helping formalize industries. You look at things like Bluetooth and Wi-Fi and like Matter, right? All things that they've helped create standards for. So it's not like anyone's asking Apple to do anything that they've never done before. Just own up to the fact that you need these minerals and help the people formalize these places so that these minerals are procured safely and the people of Congo can be paid adequately.
But here's the catch. Much of this mining happens under horrific conditions, with allegations of child labor, human rights abuses, and armed conflict tied to the trade. The DRC has been called the geological scandal for its immense mineral wealth, but this wealth has fueled decades of war and exploitation. Armed groups often seize control of mines, using forced labor to extract minerals that are then smuggled across borders and laundered into global supply chains. The legal team representing Congo alleges that Apple knowingly used these conflict minerals, essentially pillaged from the country in their products. They argue that Apple turned a blind eye to the origins of these materials, profiting while Congo's people paid the price in blood. Now, Apple has long claimed to be a leader in ethical sourcing. They've published supplier responsibility reports, pledged to use recycled materials, and promised transparency in their supply chains. But Congo's lawsuit accuses the company of a deliberate cover-up. According to the complaint, Apple not only ignored the origins of the minerals, but also actively deceived customers by marketing its products as ethically made. If true, this isn't just corporate negligence. It's a deliberate act of fraud. This lawsuit isn't just about Apple. It's about the entire tech industry. Companies like Samsung, Tesla, and Microsoft also rely on minerals from Congo. If Kinshasa wins, it could set a precedent, forcing corporations to rethink their supply chains and clean up their act. But let's not forget the role we play as consumers. Every time we buy a new phone, laptop, or electric vehicle, we contribute to the demand for these resources. So are we also complicit in the suffering of Congo's people? Kinshasa's legal battle is just beginning, but the stakes couldn't be higher. If they succeed, it could force Apple to pay reparations, overhaul its supply chain, and face global scrutiny. But legal experts warn this case won't be easy. Proving Apple's direct complicity in war crimes is a monumental challenge. The outcome of this lawsuit could reshape the global tech industry and Congo's role in it.
Although this news is welcome, although this is going to put a lot of international attention and global pressure on Apple as a corporation, let this not pacify us. Let us not sit back and relax knowing that the state of the DRC is now suing Apple. This is honestly the bare minimum that the Congolese government can do. This conflict has been going on in the east of the DRC since 1996, since the advent of the smartphone. These conflict minerals, the 3Ts, tin, tungsten, tantalum, or coltan as we know it as, these minerals have been used in the production of these things for 3 decades now. And so we will not rest until we see a true actionable change happen in this region. We will not rest until we see the villagers who have been violently removed from their land, who have been expelled from their land through brutal violence, until we see those people go back to their villages, go back to their farms, safely return home. We will not rest. We will not rest until these tech giants go to Congo and clean up the farmlands and the rivers that they've polluted. So although this is good and this is welcome news and this is going to put a lot of international pressure on Apple as a corporation, if this company decides to settle this suit, we must make sure that the Congolese government actually gives these reparations, these funds, this settlement, that the Congolese government actually gives it to the families who have been affected by this conflict, that the people in the east of the DRC who till today, right now, are fleeing this war because of a mineral resource extraction, that these people go back home safely. Free Congo.
Will Apple be held accountable? Or will this case fizzle out under the weight of legal and corporate power? So what do you think? Is this a righteous battle for justice, or is it a David and Goliath story doomed to fail? Let me know in the comments below. Your voice matters in these debates. And if you want to learn more about the hidden stories behind your favorite gadgets, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon. This is Adaka Africa. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.